Hello, EnderSword here again, this time with a Bronze League game featuring the Protoss player Gugg. You may have noticed I've done one of his videos before when he was just kind of getting started out, and this is now him a few weeks later. He's actually #1 in his Bronze League, so I hope he gets to Silver in Season 6 there. So we're going to be looking at one of his games against the Zerg player aitsch or something like that. I'm going to call him aitsch, I don't care what I call him. And he's pretty bronzy for sure, but he's going to do something that gives the Protoss player and a lot of Protoss players a lot of trouble in their game, and we're going to see what sort of reactions that we're going to be looking for. So the three main points that I'm going to be looking at during the course of this game are: #1, we're scouting not only to see what's there, but we're scouting to see what isn't there. You should kind of be aware of what your opponents can do with their race, what they should be doing with their race, what kind of the standard thing is. And if we're seeing something that deviates from that a whole lot, then it should be making you very suspicious. You should be wondering, well, where is this? Why is gas so late? Why is there no spawning pool in a Zerg's base? Why don't I see anything in a Protoss base? Something like that. So it's not always what we see, it's what we don't see that can actually tip us off to what's going on in the game. The second thing that we're going to look at is trying not to get stuck in defense-only mode. Sometimes your opponent launches a fairly good attack against you, and you can really get thrown on your back heels, and you're just trying to hold it off, and by the time you finally do, they've now tacked to something totally different. They've expanded a million times, they've done something else, and you've just been holding it off and surviving the whole time. You've got to make sure that you're defending yourself, but also teching to, improving to, building your economy to a way out of it, a way to transition into the next part of the game. And the last thing that we're going to look at, of course, is always true in the bronze games: spend your damn money, make sure that you get it out. It may not seem like something that's important to you at the time. You may feel, oh, I don't need that many gateways, I don't need that many barracks, I don't have enough workers, why should I expand 6 times? If you've got thousands of minerals available or lots of gas available, find a way to spend it. If that means that you have to put down the infrastructure to allow yourself to spend it, then that's what you're going to be doing. So into the game itself here, we notice that the Protoss player doesn't actually wall off. You do want to be definitely getting into the habit of doing that against the Zerg player. You run into someone cheesy or even not that cheesy, it's pretty common to make a standard little push just to poke at the front of the Protoss base to see what's going on. They may do that with a few lings, they may do that with a few roaches, just something early on into the game. And if the Zerg player happened to take a look here right now, he wouldn't see anything really stopping him. So we see the scout here leaving the Zerg base already. Any one of you that's looking a little ahead of me is already seeing this hidden expansion up here for the Zerg player. But what is Gugg actually aware of? What is our Protoss player actually aware of? He didn't really get close enough on his way out, didn't check to see whether an expansion was going down there. He only saw this corner of the base, so he doesn't know what else is being done in the base right now. On his way out, didn't check again, and he's not actually sending anything back to take a look around. So we're going to check into that a few times during the course of this game, but right now, aitsch has expanded a sneaky little expansion way up here in the north part of the map, but the Protoss player has absolutely nothing to tip him off to that. He doesn't even know that this expansion isn't being taken. He doesn't know that a pool's down. He doesn't know that both gases are being taken. This is all really important information. The fact that these 2 gas are being taken is actually a pretty big tip-off, and the fact that there is nothing at the natural here should automatically lead you to alarm bells in your mind. Maybe he's going for a 1 base roach all-in, something of that nature. So in either case, you want to be fairly defensive and say, hey, where is that thing that I usually expect to be there? And then you're going to start trying to limit your options and say, well, what is it? What could he possibly be doing? We're going to take a second look, see what's actually developing there, and so on. So nothing really is there to let him know that there is going to be a hidden expansion, just because he didn't actually take a good enough look around to determine that's the case. So the Protoss player does go off and starts expanding here, and finally we do kind of get an observer out, so that should hopefully get us a next little peek at what's going on. Gateways here, going up to a 4 gate, and of course going for the expansion. Again, without any knowledge of what's going on right now, this would be incredibly vulnerable to a lot of the normal plays that you would associate with not having an expansion here. If this turned out to be a 7 roach rush, or if this turned out to be any sort of early roach play, or early roach ling play, early ling infestor play, then this isn't really going to be adequate to defend against any of that. So almost any of the standard things that we would expect from a Zerg 1 base would actually kill what we have available to us here. So he's not really properly defended against that, but it's because he's not fully aware that there's nothing here, and is certainly not aware that there is actually another base up here in the top of the map. The observer does come in, and it's actually just now that he becomes aware, oh, there is nothing here. There's no expansion that's going on. The spine crawlers up in the main obviously tips you off that he's being very defensive. The Zerglings just kind of sitting there in a fairly defensive position. So far he's not seeing anything that is consuming any gas, but he hasn't looked far enough to see whether or not this gas is being taken. We can see that the lair is actually going down, and it of course is complete now. So nothing's really consuming any of the gas, but he's probably mining off too, and he's already teching up. So what are we going to be prepared for? Obviously the majority of cases that you're going to see this for the Zerg player, well, they're going to just try and rush to Mutalisk. It's a very common thing to do, maybe a little cheesy to do when you're trying to kind of sneak it, well, definitely cheesy when you're trying to sneak it off a hidden base like this. And all he's using this for is just to mine the gas really right now. He's only got one guy on the minerals, but of course it's because it's the gas that's necessary for the spire to be going down and for you to make a lot of Mutalisks. So the observer is just kind of content and sitting there and not really continuing to look at all. So at this point he should definitely be aware that something is horribly wrong. There's no expansion here. There's no viable play for 11 minutes in the game where the Zerg is only on one base. That's not a viable thing for anyone to do at any time. So he should now be frantically looking around the rest of the map, knowing that there has to be something out there, or if there isn't, then frankly he's probably won the game already. But this observer should definitely be constantly looking around this creep. You know that everything has to be on creep somewhere, so he should be looking around that and seeing what actually is coming out. Should have seen this spire a little while ago. Should see that this Hydra Den is there, and really should be looking around the map to make sure that there isn't something like this hidden base going on, which obviously there is. So instead he's responding by getting Colossus out. This is kind of cute. He's got an Immortal and a Colossus trapped between all these buildings. That is 550 minerals and 300 gas that we've got trapped in this little location. Destroy this warp gate. Don't even hesitate when that sort of thing happens. That's no good to you right there, and these are so expensive. You can just destroy this thing, which only costs 150 minerals, and get them out there. It would be very, very vital to get these out onto the map right now. Obviously the Protoss player, extreme supply blocking here. Try not to queue up like that as well, particularly when you're supply blocked, but that's 150 gas just being queued up in observers that aren't being made yet. That could be dumped into further upgrades, things of that nature. We also know here that on top of just being supply blocked, there's just not enough production there. There's only these 4 warp gates trying to spend all this amount of money. Obviously the inevitable mutas come in, and with this much money, we could just immediately warp in 11 stalkers, but we can't warp in 11 stalkers because there's only 4 warp gates that are actually there. And given how kind of dumb the Zerg player is going to be, now he is of course attacking these valuable units that were trapped in the middle, so we don't have to worry about those anymore, but he's just going to engage these stalkers completely toe-to-toe and let it happen. But he targeted down the cyber core, so not only were we not able to do a very large warp in of stalkers initially, we can't reinforce them now. As soon as you see a vital structure like that being targeted or taken out, and you know that it's something absolutely vital for you to be making in order to live, you know that those mutas, if they're given just free reign, are going to kill everything. So these 5 stalkers are the only thing keeping him alive. He needs a cyber core backup absolutely immediately to make sure that he can just stay alive for the next 2-3 minutes of this game. And if he was able to actually kill these stalkers before this cyber core is up and then find it and target it down again, as soon as you see a key structure like that even being targeted, forget whether it's dead or not, your first priority has to be to start another one immediately, or else this could happen. Obviously they're coming in, he knows this time I'm just going to target down the remaining 5 stalkers. He doesn't quite commit to it, could be a little better, but once these stalkers are dead, now this completely valuable army, this is a very expensive army with 3 Colossus there, he lost his sentries already, and a bunch of zealots there. They're just absolutely for nothing right now. They're all going to die, and they're not going to end up getting a lot done with the Mutalisks just raining all over it. And now he's got a lot of catching up to do in order to get a stalker force big enough to deal with that. So everything super expensive goes down here, and we're stuck completely on defensive mode. He doesn't even try and move these in to see what damage could be done in the meantime. There's no reason he couldn't actually have broken through that with the 3 Colossus available. Gugg still has no idea that there is another base out here on the map, but he definitely should know. He's completely aware there's nothing here. There has to be another base. There is just no way that the Zerg player has made 20 plus Mutalisks and attacked you with them if he's only got 1 base. It's just not going to be happening, so he has to know that there's something else, and especially as he's seeing these reinforcements coming in, the funding is coming from somewhere else. You're not going to do this much gas off just 1 base at this point in the game, even when that's all you've been saving up and making sure you haven't been using any of your gas on anything else. He is adding some gateways here, definitely the right idea, but he could be adding actually a lot more to that. He may even, for safety's sake, want to put some redundancy to the cyber core. Put 2 of them down. It won't kill you. You know that you're actually pretty far ahead in the game itself in terms of the development of your economy and so on. So instead of being so reliant on just these 2 structures and this 1 cybernetics core, which is going to be attacked again and again and again, throw down a lot more of these gateways. Throw down another cyber core somewhere else. Definitely these upgrades should be continuing. We've got tons of money. Now going into a supply blocking situation. There's no reason to be supply blocked because someone destroyed pylons, but you've got 3,000 minerals available to you. That definitely has to be something that he's taking care of. And obviously you also probably want to be putting down, say, a Twilight Council. Blink is probably going to be helpful right now. You're probably going to want to go towards Templar, given that the mutas are literally the only problem right now. A single storm could definitely take these things out, or at least damage them a huge amount. Merging into Archons could definitely be doing a lot of damage. Or what I tend to do in a lot of this situation, if I feel like I'm stuck defensively, I'll throw down a Dark Shrine, particularly in the case that there must be another base out there, and it's probably, in this case, as is in this case, completely undefended. Its entire survivability is based on the idea that it's hidden. If you just send a few DTs around the map, they can just completely close this down. Just two DTs closes down this expansion, and it doesn't cost that much. And if you find out, oh, they've got detection everywhere, they are actually well defended, great, the DTs turn into Archons, which again is something that I can use to make a completely full assault against the Zerg army, and there's no way that these Mutalisks are going to engage you when you've got 2 or 3 Archons in your group along with these Stalkers and so on. Finally is going on and continuing with the armor upgrade, but again, no Twilight Council there. So we're just very much stuck in that defensive mode over and over in this game. He's warping in, he's trying to chase down these mutas. It is true that the Zerg player's definitely not doing a very good job with these at all. The Protoss is actually very lucky that the Zerg is stupid enough to be engaging at any point in time, and he's allowed his army to actually engage over and over and over. Clearly the Zerg should just be running away from this. It doesn't make any sense for him to be engaging this army. The key to him is just destroying these mineral lines, which are very undefended, and trying to snipe off, again, that cybernetics core, which had to be replaced once again. So finally, once the Stalker numbers are sufficient, he is just going to move in here. They still don't have Blink. Their upgrades still aren't that great. But luckily, during all of this, the Zerg player didn't decide to just expand. What you'll get very often when the Zerg is doing a lot of this muta harassment, the whole idea is they're keeping you so firmly in your base that they can take bases absolutely all over the map, knowing that they don't have to defend them because you can't get anything out and away from your own base, because all your resources have to be designed on protecting what you have. And they know that the mutas, in a somewhat even base race, the mutas are going to generally win that base race. It's something that happens time and time again. The mobility is just a lot better. The Zerg can kind of scatter across the map and generally come out ahead. But with this many Stalkers and with the Zerg player deciding to engage way too many times during this game, even now, instead of trying to stop this army, he should really just be relocating his tech here. He should be taking several expansion locations and then sending the mutas in to completely destroy the rest of the Protoss economy. The whole idea is the Zerg will often put you to a decision. Do you feel you have the army to completely kill me right now with no further economy or reinforcements? And if you agree to that as the Protoss player, then you can go and try and attack them. They're going to spread everywhere. They're going to turn every last drone into a spine crawler. They're going to find a way to try and hold you off because they know that they've used their Mutalisks to completely destroy every last ounce of economy that you have at home and all production that you have at home. That's not what the Zerg player did in this case, and so it is allowing our Protoss to come and take everything out. He's very slow to respond in building new technology back here, and Gugg is still unaware of where the other base is. I'm not sure whether he actually thinks that was the only one. It's not really possible that that was the only one, but at this point in time, he should certainly be looking around for, hey, what is going on? Where is everything? You don't generally want to be coming back home like this to defend yourself. Maybe throw down some cannons, given that there's no reason not to, and there's only 6 Mutalisks out on the map, but he's just not aware what's going on. In many games that you're up against a Zerg like this, by the time you find this thing, there's going to be 4 or 5 expansions over on the other side of the map, because why not? It was absolute just incompetence that the Zerg player does actually manage to lose this game. He didn't quite go for all of these mineral lines. He let himself get engaged by these Stalkers, and the Protoss player just kind of wins on the basis of macroing way more, and the Zerg player just ultimately didn't make anything except these harassment units, which could do all the harassing they want, but he just engaged with them too many times and never got to that completely deadly block. He probably made 40 or 50 of them during the course of this game. Could even afford 12 more right now if he hadn't allowed the technology to be destroyed. Didn't get a backup layer here or anything. So, of course, the Protoss finally does figure out, hey, there's got to be another. My observer does see it. The observer finally scouts the expansion that has been there since about the 5 or 6 minute mark. That is something that should have been scouted and stopped with 3 to 4 zealots at about 7-8 minutes into the game, and we wouldn't be in this 28-minute long game. So it's just something to be aware of. Scouting is something that cannot be underestimated at all, and when you are scouting, you're not just looking for what's there. We're going to be looking for what isn't there, and that's going to tip us off to what must be there, and if it isn't there, it's got to be somewhere else. So that's the key takeaway from this game. Constantly be looking for what must be there. Don't get stuck in hyper-defensive mode, and make sure that you spend your damn money. Don't get caught with 5,400 minerals and no way to actually spend it on an army. Thanks for watching.